Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting ready to hop into our next series. It is going to be none other than PiLiPiLi versus Semper, the winner of our last series versus our only Protoss here today. These two players are probably some of the top players of the entire North American scene, undoubtedly. Should be a really fun one. Both these guys also have a pretty decent history against each other, I believe. Semper, of course, representing Team OSC Ro8, Canada. PiLiPiLi, Kazakhstani and Protoss player from Storm Gaming, also known as Darth PiLiPiLi, I believe, these days. In match score against each other, it looks like PiLiPiLi does have a pretty distinct advantage, having won not only 9 out of 3 series they've played against each other, but it also looks like the last 2 times they played in the past few weeks, PiLiPiLi has been taking the victories. They've played so many times, already 4 series in 2017 in competitive matches. But I think that Semper is ready. We're just waiting for the ready from PiLiPiLi as we hop into Cactus Valley. We'll see you guys there. What you know, Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, hopping into game number 1 of our first round of 8 match. Spawning up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the purple Terran player representing OSC Ro8 once again. Give it up for Semper. And his opponent, spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the red Protoss player from Storm Gaming. Put your hands together for our only Protoss today, PiLiPiLi. PiLiPiLi, a tried and true, I won't say champion, but a veteran of Ladder Heroes. He has won a Ladder Heroes Monthly Finals, but I believe he's only ever won 1 Ladder Heroes Monthly Finals before, which is funny because he's been one of the most active participants in them in the past. Yeah, he's only ever won 1. So if he was able to win a second one, that I think would mean a lot to him. For those who don't know, Ladder Heroes has been running for almost 2 years now. It's been quite a bit of time. But PiLiPiLi now moving across the map, looking for a cross spawn scout, I guess. Interesting. Cactus Valley does allow all 4 spawn locations. He goes through the center of the map for the Zelnanga Watchtower, maybe, hoping that he would see an Overlord or something. Oh, PiLiPiLi. He's one base in it. He's got the Cybernex core going down back at home. But as soon as that finishes up, he's going to go for the proxy Stargate and just hoping and saying, okay, there is a, 33% chance he spawns in the closest to this proxy. And if he doesn't, I'm at least a little bit kind of closer north, and I'm at least a little bit closer to this base. So it is closer to all of the other bases, at least by a little bit. But he's not going to get the most lucky spawn location. We'll see when he actually discovers where his opponent's scouted. He's going to move up over here. I believe he should be able to scout out both of the other bases, or at least 2 bases, before the Oracle ends up popping. Semper going to be going for the Reaper opening. Playing this out pretty standard. Gets up his barracks. Gets up a bunker at the front. So really, I guess, a bit concerned maybe about any kind of weird aggression that could be coming out. Even on Cactus Valley, he does see the Zealot, which oftentimes can lead into like a pylon rush or something, but he's going to be able to kill the Zealot for free, which is really, really nice. The kind of funny thing is, though, that this Zealot is doing its job because it buys time. Mothership Core also moving across the map. Semper, I think he may have scouted it, but here we go. First pylon's coming down. Mothership Core is not going to be able to photon overcharge this. I think it should go down. 2 Marines and a Reaper added in DPS. The probe also went down. There's not a whole lot of anti-air. The Adept now comes in, and the depot doesn't matter if it's raised or not. There's not a full wall off. The Oracle should be popping out in about another 15-20 seconds, but the Adept is really going to try and buy time. It's almost dead, though. It's lost all of its shields. It gets cleaned up by the Cyclone for nothing. A probe, an adept, and a zealot all picked off for free. This is not going very well for PiLiPiLi. He needs to get damage done. Oracle may be the saving grace. I mean, the fact that there was a cyclone does mean that there's some form of kind of consistent damage, but cyclones don't exactly do a lot of anti-air damage. Oh my god, okay, it's just the Reaper moving out. The cyclone's also moving out. Okay, wait a second. This Oracle could get some damage done. No, Semper realized what was going on. He already built the missile turrets. It looks like the cyclone does pull back. Kind of derping out for a moment. Reaper was moving around. Looks like it tries to move into the natural. I think the adept got a shot off or something. Oracle still looking for ways to get damage done. Does find an empty natural expansion. At the same time, the Reaper is doing some damage and then his opponent's natural. Oracle taking a lot of damage. Might actually end up going down to the cyclone lock on. Oh, so close. And the Reaper. Oh, it's gonna die here. It's got it. No, no. Yeah. Nice wall in over here from PiLiPiLi. I love the walling in. It really does make it a lot harder. Reaper can only enter or exit from this area, and I think up here. But the Oracle is continuing to get little bits and pieces of damage done. I guess up to 6 kills now. It's just, I still feel like PiLiPiLi is a bit further behind. Not only in terms of tech, where he only has his 3 gateways and a Stargate out. He's making Void Rays, so I think he really wants to follow this up into a big Void Ray bust. But, oh, Oracle. That Oracle's been there for a while, so I think PiLiPiLi may be on to the location of it. Shouldn't end up losing it, but has to be a bit careful about it. Semper doesn't have that much. He's kept the bunker alive, though, which is definitely going to be good for him. PiLiPiLi has a proxy pylon. No proxy gateway to join it up for faster reinforcing warpins. And a tech lab coming down on the starport. Is this for... Okay, yeah, it's going to be for Stim. But this is going to be the big scary moment. PiLiPiLi basically has to try and win here or do a devastating amount of damage. Revelation thrown down is going to be able to pick away at that Widow Mine. The Widow Mine manages to escape out of there almost. No. Void Rays. Not going to let that happen. Pick it off. And that's a big win for PiLiPiLi right now because there's 2 more Widow Mines and he does not have enough energy for scans anymore. Void Ray is killing off all these Marines. The Cyclone gets focused right down. The Void Ray is getting a little bit low on health. He has to be careful with that. Might want to micro that back. If Semper is focus firing it down, the Void Ray is, number 1 is going to go down. Viking also added in the mix. SCV is being pulled off the line. There's only a handful of Marines left over. Even though all the air capabilities for PiLiPiLi are getting picked off, the Stalkers are going to go slightly uncontested right now. None of the Widow Mines are really getting into the fray. Well, the Viking even ends up landing. It does extra damage to the Stalkers, but the Stalkers do extra damage to the Vikings. And PiLiPiLi is starting to make this work. He's done some good damage. He can force a lift up on the natural, I think, right now. The units just aren't popping out fast enough for Semper, who does not have combat shields, doesn't have stim, doesn't have anything. And now, yeah, the command center is starting to take some serious damage. This is actually going to get a little dicey. The SCVs have to be pulled off the line. That's going to give PiLiPiLi a shooting range of SCVs to get some more damage done. He's taken the worker supply lead. 11 workers up now. This has been enough. I think that PiLiPiLi can transition out from here. It's still a little bit weird because he doesn't have a Twilight Council down just yet. He's not going to have Blink. He's not going to have any upgrades from the Forge. And he's going to need to defend against potential drop play very soon. Or not even just drop play, but a Siege Tank also out. He needs to keep these Stalkers alive. They are his lifeblood right now, preventing a big attack from Semper from moving across the map. And I really like this. The Liberator going to be coming out is a nice way for Semper to put on aggression without committing his whole army supply to it. So he doesn't have to worry about the Stalkers making it hard to move out across the map. He can actually keep the Stalkers at home with that Liberator. Or at least keep the threat of it there. PiLiPiLi may just decide to go into blank with how many Stalkers he's made instead of Resonating Glades. But he's also taking a 3rd expansion behind this. Oh, he made another Oracle. Interesting, because the first Oracle that he made was pretty low on health. 2 kills on this Oracle. And yeah, there is going to be Blink, going to have +1 weapons also being researched, and a lot of gateways being added on. Semper trying to go in the most roundabout path is just barely going to end up scouting, I think, the Stargate as well. Not that it's getting a whole lot of value anymore. Oh, barely. Oh my god, look at that. Look at that. I'm pretty sure there's like this little edge right here is actually creeping out, but well, Blizzard decides that it's not going to get scouted. And that CC is still a little bit low on health. PiLiPiLi may have actually scouted out that Liberator with the pylon. He's moving his stalkers around. Okay, I don't think he maybe didn't see it. His stalkers are moving up further north. Because he has the Revelation on the army, so he's trying to position for both of them at the same time. May have to rely on just photon overcharges to help deal with the Liberator and just pull workers off of the third right now. He's busy microing his stalkers that do not have blink just yet, so he's losing a decent chunk of these workers. 5 kills already. Semper already looking a lot more even in terms of that worker supply. Revelation, I think that's a second Revelation that just got thrown down, so army's gonna go relatively well scouted. But the pickup from Semper does clean up that vision. PiLiPiLi not aware. He's got a lot of gateways in the main base, and the mothership core is there. Got some pylons he can photon overcharge. He actually got 4 of them. This should be an okay defense, and it should buy enough time for PiLiPiLi to react. He's mostly just got stalkers, and those stalkers still slightly out of position. Well, even the siege tank joins in. Oh, Revelation throwing down on the army once again. Surprisingly, okay, he does get the medevacs this time as well, so if he wants to, he can even try and cut this off. Blink has finished up. Semper's really committing to this. I don't think he's going to be able to get away. PiLiPiLi focus fires down the weakened medevac, or the medevac that had all the units loaded up, but barely doesn't get it. Gets another medevac instead. Guardian Shield also salvages some of the units, but there's another drop on the third expansion. This is Semper we're talking about. He loves his drop play. Widowmine gets an okay shot off, but also does some friendly fire damage. Looks like not too many workers end up going down over there. I mean, a lot of workers have gone down this game, but... Oh, wait. Widowmine. Got another kill. 1 kill. Not devastating amounts of damage. Looks like it was just 1 worker kill. Well done by PiLiPiLi in that defense. But yeah, really solid hold over there from PiLiPiLi. Now going to lead up a bit in army supply, and he's going to have... Ooh, Adept Resonating Glaives on the way. So... It's just going to follow this out into like a mid-game army, but it's so surprising. His Robo has only made an Observer. And of course the Observer is there for detecting the Widow Mines and everything. Looks like that Widow Mine did get a kill. But he doesn't have a Warp Prism. He doesn't have Immortals coming out. He doesn't really have any transitionary form of tech. It's really just a big, heavy gateway mid-game army. And that's not going to scale quite as well. Third expansion being so much faster for PiLiPiLi, though, is kind of his big advantage. And that might be the reason why he doesn't feel safe transitioning out. Oh, Mothership Core throwing down a couple of photon overcharges to buy time. But this is 4 medevacs worth of units. Oh, dear Lord. Nice bait out of the Widow Mine. PiLiPiLi managed to hold that. But he gets 7 gateways depowered. He still should have enough to clean up this army. The Adepts maybe want to even shade in over there. Stalkers had blunk forward already, so they cannot blink forward again to snipe off some of those medevacs, but he kills off a decent chunk of the units. Only 2 medevacs end up escaping out of the 4. The shutdown of the production is a huge deal, though. Watch as the minerals and the gas just spike up rapidly for PiLiPiLi. He's finally going to invest into that Warp Prism in the meanwhile. And also losing that Mothership Core is going to be kind of annoying. He sees the drop coming in again, but his army is still positioned in the right spot. He can blink forward and try to snipe off the medevacs. Medevac's trying to play a little bit defensive. Backing up. There's one. Oh my god, just barely not getting that 1 medevac. I think that was what, 2 stalker shots? Yeah, 2 stalker shots from death. Especially with +2 weapon, or, oh no. I thought he had +2 weapons all the way. I must have mistaken it. Okay, but third expansion has just been mining for so much longer. Looks like the Oracle's gonna get picked off. Doesn't even throw down a Revelation at the end. PiLiPiLi really would have liked to have seen that, but he has been able to get the most important scout out, which is no third expansion, no third expansion. He knows that Semper is all in at this point. There is no bouncing back for the man who is mined out of his main. He's going to float his main over to his third, but this is still dire straits for Semper. PiLiPiLi just needs to hold on over here, and he will be able to defend and take this game as long as this defense right here can happen. Sniping off all the Widow Mines. Oh, 1 Widow Mine shot does get off. Semper's army not looking that big, but the Adepts are starting to run dry. PiLiPiLi not getting the best engagement over here. Look at all these stalkers in the backside, not engaging. He does blink forward very aggressively, sniping off the medevacs, cutting off the lifeblood of Semper. And with those medevacs gone, these units are just too stemmed up. I think that's going to be it. Semper loses his entire army, and PiLiPiLi, all he has to do is deny this third expansion with the units he has. Is he going to move across the map? I don't think there's no drops or anything happening. No, there's Liberator harassment coming in. And that's going to pull PiLiPiLi back, but even with his Adepts. A bit of a missed opportunity. I guess PiLiPiLi maybe not... Doesn't feel a time pressure. He's still in a good spot, I think. Loses, I think, 3 stalkers or something over there. It's even upgrades. He's very soon. PiLiPiLi will have +2 armor with no additional upgrades on the way for Semper. But that third, it's finally about to land. The third that was floated over from the main. Double medevac drop. Oh my god, Semper, most ballsy Terran in the world. He's just like, yeah, I only have 3 medevacs. Might as well load up 2 of them and go for a drop. Buy some time. And I think it's the right decision. Photon overcharges are thrown down. PiLiPiLi managed to hold on, but he's kept at home. And this is the important thing. Semper is buying himself time. Third expansion gonna be under attack. PiLiPiLi senses it. He starts warping in some adepts to try and handle this, but the Widowmine goes off on one of them. The probes are gonna start to be under siege now, and Semper, he's gonna go after the reinforcing adepts. I guess he's not gonna try and go for the risky play, going after the Nexus immediately. The drop comes back into the main base. It does get sniped off. PiLiPiLi snipes off the medevacs. That's a huge win. There's only 1 medevac out on the map. And no more even being made right now. Oh, 1 stalker blinks up to the background. Cute micro. But surely this is now the moment PiLiPiLi has to move out. He's lost a lot of mining at that third. So much mining time. There's another move out. This is literally 1 medevac move out. If this army stims up, it's going to basically just be doing damage to itself during the engagement. Well, there's only 1 stalker here, so PiLiPiLi can't actually take care of this medevac and prevent a lift up into the main. So he's keeping a lot of his stalkers over here by the third. Widowmine's also burrowing. It's such a scrappy game because I think PiLiPiLi, he wants to be able to do something and put some pressure on. He finally gets some resources and uses that warp prism to warp in 3 adepts. This is actually going to shut down the third expansion. Look at all of these SCVs. This is more than 1 base saturation. Adepts also shitting into the god, 12 workers mining over here. Still more, and that's after they transfer. Most of them transfer back. 29 of 16. Okay. PiLiPiLi getting a lot of value for these adepts. Oh, might even clean up the Marauder. Oh, it's a double kill, double suicide. Okay, PiLiPiLi blinking down to the low ground with some of these stalkers. Catches some of the units with the force shields. No pickup from Semper. There's a small little gap. A nice spread out of that adept. Baits the Widowmine shot to the left. Stalker's getting a little bit too far ahead of themselves. They need to be careful. They do not want to be losing their lives like this. Guardian shield thrown up. Semper's 2 more medevacs. Dark Shrine on the way. I love this. Semper's only on a 2 CC economy right now. He's actually floating over his natural expansion to another base, but PiLiPiLi is chasing down this army with with the adept shading forward and the stalkers continue blinking forward, but PiLiPiLi needs to make sure he doesn't get too far out of position. Semper is baiting him all the way over to the left. He finally does scout out that Stargate path away. But this could have led into a potential drop, and yeah, that is exactly what Semper is doing. This man knows what he wants. He's gonna go for the drop in the main. There's a Widowmine here, too. PiLiPiLi, he sees the Widowmine burrowing, or at least has vision of it, but did he notice it? Look, Photon Cannon actually sees it. Photon overcharge, and Photon overcharge is available. 1 more. But he is blinking forward. He's taking out this army. There's no medevacs here, so this is going to be a very one-sided engagement. Mothership Core does get picked off, and look at this, the DT warping. Widowmine's also doing more friendly fire damage than anything else. I think this is it. PiLiPiLi starting to climb in supply a little bit too far forward, and there is just not going to be any scans available. Throws down a couple scans and picks off some of the DTs, but there's 1 DT left over. PiLiPiLi also going to be able to clean up the drop on the left-hand side. If he just warps in some more DTs, he just needs to wait for those warp-ins to be available again. Pulling his probes to buy time. He has workers to lose with how many he's killed, but oh man, he still has the Dark Shrine. Yeah, he didn't lose it or anything. PiLiPiLi busy microing on this side. This is the most frustrating feel in the world. Where you're like, God damn it, just die already. Warping in Zealots. No, Pili, warping some DTs. You've got the minerals and the gas. Well. Alright, I think this has got to be it. PiLiPiLi, he's on the production now. And this was just game 1. What a scrappy slugfest here in game number 1. Semper really pushing into the limit. Even continuing to micro with the Marauder and the medevac, trying to do the pickups. Semper's trying to sneak this expansion, but a DT will snipe it off. Another DT. Gonna eventually clean things up. GG gets called. PiLiPiLi takes the game. Takes the lead in the series. 100% of the games we've seen so far, with a Protoss involved, have been won by Protoss. Ladies and gentlemen, David Kim, please. I guess it's Blizzard. Blizzard, please, now. Blizzard balance team. BBT. BBT, please. Okay, well, we'll get ready to hop into game number 2 after a very long... That was probably the longest 2-base game from Semper I have seen in a long time. But game number 2 is going to be played on Newkirk Precinct. Let's get the players invited. PiLiPiLi is already invited. Cool. Holy moly is on top of it. It does look like with a bracket update, we have that Jon Snow with True. I think that True ended up taking the 2-0 versus Jon Snow, his teammate, both Psystorm players. So he will advance on to the semifinals if that is the case. And I think that Namshar ended up defeating Cham 2-0 in a ZVZ. So winner of this is going to go on to face off versus Namshar. Winner of, oh yeah, Maso ended up defeating Sanagi 2-0 and is now facing off versus Optimus in another Terran versus Terran. So the winner of that is going to go on to face off versus True, it seems most likely. Like, if True is, did in fact 2-0 Jon Snow. So we're going to have a potential Protoss or Terran facing off versus Zerg in the semifinals, and then it's going to be a Terran versus Zerg in the semifinals. So should be fun. Newkirk Precinct though for game number 2. I just don't even, there's not even a lot I can say about like, oh man, I wish the such and such player had done XYZ. It was just such a ridiculously scrappy and crazy game. I can't even lay out criticisms or like, you know, theoretical differences I would have liked to have seen in that game. So let's hop into it. Spun down here in the bottom right hand corner of the map, the red Protoss player currently sitting up 1-0 in this best of 3. Give it up for PiLiPiLi, Psystorm Gaming. And his opponent spun down here in the bottom left hand corner of the map, the purple Terran player from OSC Ro8. Put your hands together for Semper, who may have a undefeated win record in competitive matches versus Game Time, his previous opponent, but he has a losing record versus PiLiPiLi right now. Not quite as bad as undefeated, but I think it was, I actually forget exactly what the number was, but he's definitely lost like the last 3 or 4 series that they played against each other in the past few weeks. 2 of North America's finest regardless. PiLiPiLi in that last game went for the proxy Oracle, and funny enough turned into the player that was actually expanding and playing an economic game afterwards. Semper was the one that tried to play a normal game and ended up being the 2-base player. We'll see how things lead out in Newkirk Precinct. PiLiPiLi has a pretty strong, I would say, mid-game of PvT. His adept Phoenix play is probably what he's most commonly known for these days. Granted, I mean, what Protoss player isn't going for Phoenix Adept these days? Not necessarily every game, but most games. More often than not. No Reaper opening, I believe, from Semper. I don't hate that. Newkirk Precinct is a map where, as long as a Protoss player covers this kind of area right here, you can shut down a lot of Reaper scouts. Looks like the SCV is just going to be the lone scout. Especially after getting proxy stargated. Yeah. You're going to want to do that. PiLiPiLi does not mess around. We're going to confirm. Okay, cool. Everything looks okay here. You got both of your pylons at home. It's not just like one pylon over here and another pylon building a Stargate with a Nexus. But we have a reactor coming down on top of the barracks. Factory being plopped down next to it. Is this going to be a Hellion opening? Well, we do still have a Stargate opening coming out from PiLiPiLi. Like I said, Phoenix Adept, pretty common to do. You go into the Oracle first and then go into Phoenix usually, but some players like to mix it up. I do think it's interesting that Semper keeps going for the bunker, though. I think it's something I don't see nearly as often. It really rings to me that he's a bit concerned about big attacks that aren't just adept attacks, right? Because the bunker does next to nothing against an adept attack. Adept will shade through. It's not like there's going to be a full wall off here in time. It's really just, I guess, for like a big stalker attack. In fact, the bunker is empty. This definitely does nothing for an adept attack. And you might be thinking, well, what if there was a follow-up attack? So I was like, well, the bunker could have gone down later in that case. Marines were sitting inside the main base because they were concerned maybe about defending against an Oracle harass. But now the Widow Mine is out. Mothership Core actually is going to be coming in over here. PiLiPiLi scouts out the Widow Mine burrowing. Thankfully for him, he's going to have time to react and pull back, not taking a loss there. Mostly just a loss of health. The Widow Mine won't one-shot a Mothership Core. The first Oracle is about to pop. PiLiPiLi. Is he going to follow this up with Phoenix, or is he just going to go straight into a massive gateway style? We still don't see a Twilight Council out right now. Yeah, it is going to be Phoenix. I think Phoenix Adept is, quite frankly, a really, really strong play versus someone like Semper. Who, again, like, he loves his drop play. He loves his multi-prong aggression. And be able to shut down those medevacs. You kind of saw in the first part of game number 1. Semper wasn't, or actually, it's not even game number 1. It was game time versus Semper. You got to see that Semper kept losing medevacs to, say, like, the mutas and stuff. And he wasn't able to continue aggression. It's a different matchup, but same kind of premise. These Phoenix, if they get pickups on these medevacs, they shut down the drop potential. It really forces Semper to engage into one specific angle. The Widow Mine drop is going to be interesting. There are only 2 Adepts inside the natural expansion, and the Phoenix are going to be pretty out of position. Oracle did move in over here, killing off 2 workers. Widow Mine goes off on something. I think it went off. Oh, killed the Phoenix, interestingly enough. 8 workers go down to the Widow Mines, though. Oh my god, they both burrow in time, too. This is worst case situation. PiLiPiLi doesn't have a Robo. He's actually still making more Phoenix. He's killed off 5 workers, which is okay, but losing 8, ugh. And not having detection, he's gonna have to, he has to sacrifice more workers. He's not reacting. PiLiPiLi, okay. Oh, scary moment. Oh, gets a shot on the Adepts. Really wanted to sacrifice a 1 worker at a time. Okay, there's both of them. Oh god, he gets the friendly fire. Or not the friendly fire, but he gets extra damage done. That's 12 workers killed with the double Widow Mine drop. And I'm pretty sure the medevac made it out of there alive as well. Yeah, medevac didn't end up dying. So, a handful of Widow Mines have died, but Semper takes a distinct advantage in terms of being able to kill off all those workers. And now, might be able to shut down the 3rd expansion. The Adepts are kind of out of position right now. There's only 4 of them. And the pylon's going to get taken out too, so Mothership Core could not help out at all. The Phoenix are on the other side of the map, still trying to get some other damage done. They can help out by picking off the medevac. Maybe even just lifting up the Viking to try and buy time for the medevac to get away. Would be valuable. No, Viking's just going to engage against the Adepts. Looks like it'll get picked off, and this medevac should be dead, as good as dead. So finally getting... the one Phoenix will finish them off. There we go. It just looked ridiculous because he picks up all the Marines and then has nothing to follow it up with. But Semper is still not taking... Okay, he does have a 3rd expansion. I take it back. 3rd expansion about halfway done. PiLiPiLi was able to defend his 3rd expansion, even though that kind of got to be a bit of a scary moment with only 4 Adepts out of the map. But still, PiLiPiLi, when a Protoss player is on even workers with a Terran player, it's usually in favor of the Terran player. Revelation thrown down, and the nice pickup. Times it out before the Widow Mine gets a shot off. Much trickier said than done, by the way. And manages to avoid this Widow Mine. I don't know if he actually saw. I don't know if the Widow Mine started targeting him. But really, okay, forcing stims out is also pretty nice, because if he gets additional pickoffs on medevacs, those stims really do eat into the energy of the remaining medevacs. It opens up opportunities for PiLiPiLi to take slightly better engagements. He's still continuing that Phoenix production. I don't think he ever... Okay, he did get Resident Englaive, so take it back. Oh, but losing multiple Phoenix over there and loses the Oracle as well. PiLiPiLi not paying attention for a split second. Same split second I wasn't paying attention. There's relatively even supply for both sides. The 3rd expansion definitely going in favor of PiLiPiLi, but losing all those Phoenix does give up a lot of control. He has 5 Phoenix still alive. That's enough That's enough to at least ward away drops and be kind of helpful against Vikings or snipe off some Liberators. But he would really like to have had, I don't know, another like two more Phoenix would have made a huge difference in those engagements, I think. That's enough to really just kill Medivacs for certain. Combat Shields finishes up now, though, and we do have 2 Medivacs loaded up on the top side, going over after that 3rd expansion, while the Phoenix are on the south side. PiLiPiLi gonna be out of position for this. And he doesn't have an Oracle anymore. He cannot get detection on those Widow Mines for these Phoenix. He's got to just have insane reaction time. Loses 1 Phoenix, kill off 2 workers. Not quite worth it, but the Pylon is going to scout out the double Medivac drop. Allows PiLiPiLi to move in position with the Adepts, and yeah, that should be an immediate lift up. Phoenix are going to try and scout out around for those Medivacs, though. The Adepts are giving chase. He might be able to get this. He's moving up north. Oh, God, this is actually going to be just the worst area for Semper to be impossible. PiLiPiLi, he saw it for a moment, but he wasn't paying attention. Oh, he may have been microing his Warp Prism or scouting around, seeing the move out on the south side. He pulls back the Adepts and the Phoenix, but the Liberators have already sieged up in a nice spot. The Widow Mines burrow in a nice spot, and now Natural Expansion going to be under attack. 1 Pylon powering 3 gateways. It looks like PiLiPiLi is just going to go into it. Even actually, whoa, Widow Mines doing both a lot of damage to the Adepts, but also some insane amounts of friendly fire damage. No, you do not kill 1 unit. You killed like 10 Marines, man. That is deceptive. That was a ballsy as hell play from PiLiPiLi. He loses a ton of Adepts, but he walks away, I think, in a better spot after that. Semper does not have a lot of an army back at home, and there are a decent number of Adepts out. Shading in, I guess there's still a couple of Widow Mines. Oh god, could we have a repeat? PiLiPiLi doesn't get the Adept Shade into the natural. I think that was a 4th expansion that was being built forward. Looks like we have a Robotics Bay also being made, as well as a 2nd Robo. So trying to get that transition out into Colossus finally. I think he's still kept his Phoenix alive. Yeah, he's still making, or still has another Phoenix being made. This is interesting, because often, okay, well, hold on, thought. Shading in again. He does get the Adept, but does not end up shading through. Supply Depot is lowered for a moment. It's always a scary moment. I guess the Adepts weren't far enough through. It's kind of a weird angle to shade in. But oftentimes you end up seeing Protoss players really halt the Phoenix production much earlier on in the game. They're kind of like, I have enough Phoenix alive. It's enough to ward away drops at this point, and I'll be able to deal with some Liberators and everything. You don't want to overcommit to them, but PiLiPiLi just staying up at a pretty high number. I guess it's because Semper hasn't just been going for single Medivac drops. He keeps going for these double, triple, quadruple Medivac drops. And look at that. 1 Phoenix does get sniped off, but now the Adepts come in to support, and that's going to be 2 more dead Medivacs. And now Semper sitting on only 4 Medivacs. He's got Liberator production started up, but now he has to make a choice. Is he making Medivacs, or is he making more Liberators? Or is he getting Vikings out to deal with the Colossus that are going to be coming out? Oh my god, and this is just YOLO Semper right now. Adept scout this out, but the Phoenix gonna be able to do some damage. Okay. Wow, that Widow Mine did not fire? Really? Oh my god, and PiLiPiLi lifts up the Widow Mine. Scary moments for any player that's ever tried to play Phoenix Adept versus Terran. But okay, Semper's moving up to the top side. I don't believe PiLiPiLi has any vision of it. But he kind of has a bit of game sense, saying, okay, I have had my units on the bottom left-hand side. I haven't seen my opponent's army for a bit. So he kind of moves up to the north, but not far enough north. Semper comes in to a very exposed 3rd expansion. The Mothership Core is not here either. Looks like workers are going to be the focus fire, and now he goes up to the Nexus. PiLiPiLi moving in with the for the Phoenix. But no, just decides to pull back. I think it's just going to go for the counterattack. He's extremely supply blocked now, though. PiLiPiLi, he sees the army. He's undecided right now. What's he gonna do? His army's just idling there. He's pulling the workers. Colossus and these Phoenix may be able to help deal with some of this, but one of the Colossus just walks in. PiLiPiLi falling apart under the aggression, losing his 4th, losing his Colossus over by the 3rd, losing all of the workers there, and may end up losing his 3rd expansion as well. Finally, he goes in for the counterattack, but he's base trading a Terran player, and has given that Terran player so much more time to prepare. Now we have a couple of Liberators sieged up, and I think that PiLiPiLi should have more than enough to push through here, but he's going to end up taking a lot of losses. Widow Mines going off. Liberators getting some good kills. The stalker count has definitely been reduced. It's a base trade. It's a base trade against a Terran player who can just float up his buildings and run away. PiLiPiLi doesn't have a single probot on the map, I don't think. Does he? He's got a few workers mining over here, a few workers there. Observer, observer. He doesn't have any other... He doesn't have any probes on the map. He only has 12 workers. I think they're all here. GG! PiLiPiLi realizes he was base trading a Terran and taps out Semper. Ties up this series 1-1. With just positional play. Catch your opponent off guard. Throw off their momentum, throw off their rhythm, and that's when you start just wailing on in with the punches. I mean, if Semper were a boxer, this is how I describe his playstyle. He jabs, he jabs, he jabs. Sometimes he kind of throws a little 1-2 in there every so often. But as soon as one of those jabs isn't blocked, as soon as he finds a guard lowered, he just starts pummeling you one after another, until he finally just closes out and gets a KO. That is the best way I could describe Semper's playstyle in this series, and even in the last series. But here we go. We hop into game number 3. It's going to be Abyssal Reef. Ugh. Bit of a rough map, I think, in terms of dealing with drop play for Protoss player or Terran players, honestly. We'll find out how PiLi is going to deal with that, as well as what Semper is going to do. Phoenix Adept, of course, still nice. It's still a nice way to deal with drop play, but at the same time, you have to think about Phoenix Adept. Last game, Newkirk Precinct, a bit of a wider open map. In some ways, it's kind of nicer, I think, for dealing for drops compared to Newkirk. In a very odd way, because your bases aren't as spread out, which kind of makes it easier for drops super early on. But when the Phoenix are there, Phoenix can dart between the bases, and it's a lot less area for the Phoenix to cover and prevent the drops from moving in through. So we may be hopping into a really awesome game on Abyssal Reef. Waiting for the ready from Semper, and we'll get started. All right, there it is. See you guys there. Okay, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, hopping into game number 3. Only one player can move on from the quarterfinals. Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the red Protoss player from Psystorm Gaming. Put your hands together for PiLiPiLi, Darth Peleus. And his opponent spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, the purple Terran player from OSC Root. It is Semper. Playing just the scrappiest of scrappy games. PiLiPiLi, I felt like, got into a pretty decent position that last game, but man, that one time you get caught out of position versus Semper is so punishing. So punishing. And it's just kind of the risk reward that comes from that YOLO style that Semper keeps going for. He is not afraid, even against 9 Phoenix, to load up 2, 3, 4 medevacs and just try and float him in and see what he can get done. And sometimes it works. Sometimes he gets heavily punished. But he has good enough macro behind it. Surprisingly enough, he has good enough macro on his 2-base economy, just refusing to take third expansions oftentimes until very late on. Somehow finds the resources to replenish it, though. It's weird. I wouldn't actually call Semper the kind of player who is very efficient with his units. He does lose quite a few units oftentimes. I think it's something he's talked about in the past. One of his biggest weaknesses is that he sometimes overcommits or gets too into just this idea of like, I need to do damage, I need to drop, I need to keep dropping, I need to keep on the aggression. And he'll end up overcommitting sometimes, or missing or losing a lot more units than he needs to. That's one of his kind of faults, but somehow he's just been doing it for so long or something. He just finds extra resources in those mineral patches or something. Finds the extra resources to still make things work. And eventually, he just kind of keeps doing it, and eventually he finds a point where there's a chink in his opponent's armor. Okay, Stargate coming out once again from PiLiPiLi. No massive surprises here. He's also got a Nexus, so it's not a 1-base Stargate by any means. Adept's also sitting inside the main base, interestingly enough, looking for that Reaper, which never got made. This is a pretty nice map where I usually end up seeing the Reapers, or I feel like I see the Reapers a lot here, but not going to be a concern. PiLiPiLi still has those Adepts on a bit of a patrol. Sends it over to the natural, realizing, okay, not a concern anymore. Well, maybe still a little bit of concern for him. You never know when you're going to get that one Terran player who makes a Reaper but doesn't send it in until like the 4.5-minute mark. It's the mind game to scout out what his opponent's tech is. But now the Oracle's already out. Ooh, he's waiting with the Oracle. Okay. Maybe this is an identification that Semper keeps going into these really fast Widow Mines. So, expecting a big Widow Mine drop, he's going to wait around with the Phoenix or the Oracle until the Phoenix pops out. And now, he can actually use the Oracle and the Phoenix to lift up any Widow Mines and go for it. But, oh boy, what's the pathing? PiLiPiLi not even going to get aggressive with that Oracle. He's going to just go straight after the Widow Mine drop. This is a complete read from PiLiPiLi. He has seen nothing, but immediately expects it. Widow Mines one gets picked off, the other one gets picked off. Well defended by PiLiPiLi. He makes it look easy, but that is really not an easy thing to do. Okay, well that was a little bit unfortunate. He did a fantastic job, and then just doesn't quite have his Phoenix on a right click for that Widow Mines. The bait. Oh, Pili, he doesn't sense it. Both of these Phoenix. Okay, this is actually really well done. He does split up the Phoenix. I don't know if that was intentional or not. Last second split up though of those Phoenix does allow him to escape out of there, and he should have enough energy for another lift up in a moment. I don't think Semper's going to have anything else to help defend. So that's going to be a second dead Widow Mine. And he hasn't actually lost any of his Phoenix. In fact, he has had a flawless game in a sense. Not necessarily in terms of he hasn't made any mistakes. But he is certainly not taking any form of damage besides just a bit of hull damage on those Phoenix. Which is, I mean, it's not ideal, but it's okay. Another Phoenix going to be coming out. PiLiPiLi on the lookout for more medevacs. Oh man, this guy's game sense is ridiculous. Of course, there are going to be the Widow Mines dropping over to the third. Going to be able to get 0 kills so far. Medevac floats over to the main. Floats Overture is going to push it back. 2 workers killed off, but the Phoenix are now going to arrive and snipe off the medevac. I like this. 1 Phoenix goes after that medevac and actually picks up the other Widow Mine. I believe the medevac boost was also already used. He needs to clean up that one last Widow Mine. It's gonna be off cooldown soon. But what a ridiculously good defense from PiLiPiLi. Oh, caster curse. 4 kills. Okay, this is definitely nice for Semper. But PiLiPiLi has a third, and Semper just straight up does not have his finished up yet. He has +1 coming out. He should have stim, but no combat shields. Only just now starting up. PiLiPiLi, I don't think he killed the medevac there. He just killed the early 2 medevacs. So loses 1 Phoenix and has lost a few of those workers. I really like PiLiPiLi's position though. He's getting up his massive flood of gateways, and if Semper isn't careful, if he loses any more units, he could very much be in danger of a really big Phoenix Adept attack right around the time the thing's finished up. Oh, but the Phoenix loses 3 of them, I think. No, loses 2 of them over there and almost loses a 3rd. Ugh. I just need to stop complimenting PiLiPiLi. Because as soon as I do, he makes mistakes. Oh, +1 armor on the way for PiLiPiLi. I think he got +1 weapons already, yeah. So it's not exactly going to be an upgrade lead. Semper will have 1-1 finishing up in a matter of moments. Oh no, sorry, he doesn't have +1 armor going. It's just +1 infantry weapons. Okay. Double medevacs now moving out once again. He's done a nice job keeping that Phoenix count a lot lower than PiLiPiLi seems to normally want. But PiLiPiLi's been replenishing those Phoenix up to 6 and going up to a 7th again. He has a lot of adepts moving out the left. Oh, I love the positioning of this from PiLiPiLi. War Prism on the bottom left does scout out the drops at the same time. I suppose you could also say PiLiPiLi's move out gets scouted out as well. But now the Phoenix are potentially looking for the med. Yeah, they do find the medevacs, but unload a bit further back. Looking for a bit of a defensive play instead. Gonna lift these up and float them over. Gets there before the Phoenix can really try and punish it. Liberators are now out though for Semper, and it's gonna make things a bit harder. Shading in can still be strong, but shading in directly to the Widow Mines can backfire. So it's a bit of a balance that you have to kind of play. Especially if, well, wow. Some of these adepts make their way through. Oh, forcing a stem out, nice. Well done, PiLiPiLi. Robotics Bay also on the way and a second robo, so PiLiPiLi is not actually committing to this. He's just trying to scare Semper right now. I don't think he'll commit to this. There's not enough adepts here. And Semper should probably be able to guess it by this point. Like, yeah, you don't seem to be replenishing your adept account. And at this point, I think even if PiLiPiLi, well, ooh. He's been making me second guess right now. I was like, oh, okay, that'd be a lot of dead adepts. But I mean, you think about how long Semper's now been at home without actually moving out. He tried to move out earlier, but kind of got pushed back because the big attack came in. And that bought PiLiPiLi so much space. And now the Phoenix count is back up to a healthy number. Signs off 1 medevac with most of the units still left inside. Semper's next attempt at a drop kind of fails, but Semper's never been one to let that discourage him. He just says, well, if your Phoenix are down there, they're not up here. Floats it around the far corners of the map. PiLiPiLi pulls back and goes up to a 4th expansion. Double Colossus production has begun, but remember that game on Newkirk. It only takes being out of position once, and this is where Protoss player can really get spread out. It is not easy to have your, it's easier to have your Phoenix in the right position. It's not easy to have your Adepts in the right position all the time. To defend all 4 bases or the Colossus. I mean, arguably, the far off third is kind of difficult on Newkirk to defend, but the forward third and everything, it's a little bit easier. And PiLiPiLi was getting picked apart on Newkirk when he was even on 3 bases. 4th base also, of course, got sniped off eventually, but that just goes to show you how good of a job Semper can do with the aggression. He moves in over here, sieging up. PiLiPiLi sees the siege ups, and he knows that the army's here, but the 2 medevacs on the right-hand side snipe off a pylon, backs off, forcing PiLiPiLi into 2 different locations, but he's actually not at his 4th right now. I was going to give Semper the opportunity to siege up all of his liberators behind this mineral line. Now he can lift up maybe one of these medevacs worth of units and just float him up to the high ground. Start whittling away at that 4th. Widow Mines are already sieged up. Depths. Is he actually going to... No. Scaring me once again. It's odd, though. There are so many Widow Mines now. There's like 5, 6 Widow Mines, and all the Liberators are clumped up. It's not something you think about, but those Liberators could actually just die to the Widow Mines if there was a giant warp in. But, ooh. Semper finding some good damage in the natural expansion in the main base. PiLiPiLi shading out once again, but pulling back with his units. Losing more units inside the main base. The Militia Corps was picked off earlier on. PiLiPiLi does shade through. He goes after this army, but a lot of the Adepts seem to have been picked off. The Widow Mines have been dealt with, and the Liberators are also dealt with, but PiLiPiLi takes so much damage to his main base. He's gonna feel the right click down the medevac. Get rid of the healing. There it is. Cleans it up. Loses a lot of workers, though. It's still up to 57. On a 4-base economy, I guess it's not bad. He was very oversaturated at his 4th, but he can go for a counterattack now. He's got a couple Colossus out. Semper doesn't have that massive an army. He has a lot of Liberators, but these rocks not being knocked down is actually kind of difficult for PiLiPiLi. If these rocks were knocked down, and there wasn't this wall in here, maybe PiLiPiLi could have just moved straight up into the natural, but buys him the necessary time needed to move the Liberators in the right spot. PiLiPiLi, though, not going to be discouraged. He moves over to the 4th. Gets a good angle over here. Liberators managed to siege up in a good, far out spot. And with the Planetary Fortress finished up as well, it's going to be difficult. Oh, no. Supply depot is lowered. I think the Adepts can actually finish the shade. But now they're by themselves. The Stalkers and the Colossus not able to join forces. Stalkers do blink underneath the Liberators, though. This is basically, I would say, in a lot of ways, the ideal position. The only thing is the Colossus are not getting involved. PiLiPiLi is going to end up losing all of his Stalkers. There's still 2 Liberators left alive. Most of the Stalkers, or 5 of the Stalkers do manage to blink out, and it seems like 7 workers end up falling. At the same time, though, it looks like some bio make their way across the map, killing off a Forge, preventing PiLiPiLi from getting additional upgrades. He's already up 2-1, but now there's nothing back at home to defend. PiLiPiLi, he's forced into this weird base trade again. He has 9 gateways, but where are the weapons? He's killing the natural. If he can get into the main base, he might be able to camp the production. I like this stasis trap. I don't even know when he found the time to get out this Oracle. That Oracle would have been nice over here, actually. Maybe, I don't know. Stim is pretty good. Backs out. Killing after killing a natural. Oh, stasis trap. Oh, okay. It only traps in a SCV and a Marauder. Creates a bit of an awkward wall, though. Looks like PiLiPiLi finally pushed things back. He's killed 23 workers and taken a bit of a worker advantage. But Semper is on top of his positioning once again. Gets his Liberator sieged up in time. PiLiPiLi does have his 4th mining pretty healthily. That's the big thing. He hasn't really lost a lot of mining from his 3rd or his 4th. And this game has gotten to the point where they're both players are getting pretty mined out of their main, their natural. Even Semper with a mule is getting mined out of his 3rd. He's almost entirely reliant on the economy from that 4th. Natural expansion, he's even at 0.3 taking it at this point. Disruptor is going to be coming out also. Oh, interesting. There's no or Vikings that have been made. Liberators can kind of help deal with Colossus, but I almost feel like Protoss also treat Colossus like an answer to Liberators, because you just do damage to the bio outside the range of the Liberators for Thermal Lance. Man, it's so funny. Semper has, he's been able to get little bits of aggression out here and there, but he has been on the defensive for a good bit, minus that one kind of drop. But oh my god, Liberators super out of position. Could this be the game-winning move? Colossus rained down hellfire on top of the Marines and Marauders. And PiLiPiLi takes a massive army lead now. Planetary Fortress or not, Semper has got to do some damage. He's got that one medevac and a drop and a dream. Planetary Fortress holding strong. There's not a lot of adepts left over, at least on the front lines. 2 medevacs, a handful of units picking off a pylon, but that's not enough. 4 adepts gonna be able to buy a lot of time. They snipe off those Marines so quickly. Even with the +2 armor upgrade finished up for Semper. Well, it looks like the bio is going to survive, but PiLiPiLi, he gets another good position. Liberators are going to reign supreme for now, but PiLiPiLi just needs to move out of the range of the Liberators. PiLiPiLi just move out of the range of the Liberators. 2 Stalkers survive. That's going to be enough. He cleans them all up. And that is, I think that's going to be it. He survives. 2 Marauders, a medevac, and a dream, but no, Colossus says no to that dream. Gives him a good old slap in the face to wake him up. This was ace match, so the winner is going to move on. Loser drops out. And PiLiPiLi is sitting up almost 60 supply. Nearly double. Takes out one of the Marauders. Takes out the 2nd Marauder. He doesn't have a huge ground force, but he's going to be able to reinforce because he didn't lose his economy. That's the big thing. He didn't lose his 4th. He didn't lose his 3rd. And he was actually oversaturated because they're not mining a whole lot right now. Disruptor hit is good enough. GG gets called. The Protoss player advances on to the semifinals. What a hype, scrappy back and forth best of 3 in the quarterfinals match. That very well could have been the beginning of the finals, but no, that was happening in the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, that's the way seeding works out, and PiLiPiLi advances on. Is now going to face off versus Namshar in the semifinals. On the other side, we have True versus Masa. So we got a PVZ and a TVZ. We'll see who's going to be able to make it on and what semifinals we're going to be casting first as we hop to our next break before we move into the semifinals. You guys are watching the NA Ladder Heroes March monthly finals.